Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. All
Hare
glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15. The Pandavas retire timely. Text 5. Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me pahritam tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat. Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me pahritam tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat. Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me pahritam tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat. Please chant.
Arjuna Uvacha Vanchito Aham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me prahartam tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat.
Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me paraham Tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me pahritam tejo Deva Vishmapanam Mahat.
Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me pahritam tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna Uvacha Vanchito Aham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me pahritam tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat.
Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitoham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yene Partham Tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat.
Arjuna Uvacha Vanchitaham Maharaja Harina Bandhurupina Yena me Partham Tejo Deva Vismapanam Mahat.
Thank you. Word to word translation. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Vanchitaha, left by him. Aham, myself. Maharaja, O king. Harina, by the personality of Godhead. Bandhurupina, as if an intimate friend. Yena, by whom? Me, my. Apahritam, I have been bereft. Tejaha, power. Deva, the demigods. Vismapanam, astonishing. Mahat, astounding. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Arjuna said, O king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus, my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. I'll read that again. Translation. Arjuna said, O king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus, my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 10:41, the Lord says, anyone specifically powerful and opulent in wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, and all that is materially desirable is to be considered but a product of an insignificant portion of the complete whole of my energy. No one, therefore, can be independently powerful in any measure without being endowed by the Lord. When the Lord descends to the earth along with his eternal, ever-liberated associates, he not only displays the divine energy possessed by himself, but also empowers his associate devotees with the required energy to execute his mission of incarnation. It is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4:5 that the Lord and his eternal associates descend to the earth many times, but the Lord remembers all the different roles of incarnations, whereas the associates, by his supreme will, forget them. Similarly, the Lord takes away with him all his associates when he disappears from the earth. The power and energy thank you. The power and energy which were bestowed upon Arjun were required for fulfillment of the mission of the Lord. But when his mission was fulfilled, the emergency powers were withdrawn from Arjun because the astounding powers of Arjun, which were astonishing even to the denizens of heaven, were no longer required. And they were not meant for going back home, back to Godhead. If endowment of powers and withdrawal of powers by the Lord are possible even for a great devotee like Arjun, or even the demigods in heaven, then what to speak of the ordinary living beings who are but figs compared to such great souls? The lesson is, therefore, that no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. The sane man should rather feel obliged to the Lord for such benefactions and must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. Such power can be withdrawn at any time by the Lord. So the best use of such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I offer my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas and I seek your blessings, especially the senior devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, the Pandavas retire timely. So, Arjuna has just returned from Dwarka, and in the previous chapter we saw Yudhishthir Maharaj is observing so many omens that were indicating something very devastating is going to take place. And after analyzing in various ways, finally Yudhishthir Maharaj came to the conclusion that the only reason for all these omens can be the disappearance of Lord Krishna from this world. Yudhishthir Maharaj and the Pandavas were that Krishna was going to wind up his pastimes. Gandhari had uttered a curse to Krishna after the battle of Kurukshetra, when all her sons were killed. She cursed Krishna that the way I became bereft of all my family members and I'm suffering in bereavement, similarly, you will also be bereaved of all your family members. Your whole dynasty will be destroyed. The way my dynasty got destroyed, your dynasty will be destroyed. Of course, who can curse the Supreme Lord? But Krishna accepted that. And there was a time period also that was given at that time. She said in 36 years. So that is mentioned in Mahabharata. So we read how Yudhishthir Maharaj was feeling very depressed because he was blaming himself for this war, for all the mass killing and all the suffering in the world, so many widows and fatherless children, so much suffering. He was blaming himself. So he was taken to Bhishma Pitamaha, and then after hearing Bhishma Pitamaha's instructions, he agreed to become the emperor. And nevertheless, he was still feeling that the sinful reactions awaited him, so he requested Krishna to stay longer. So what I am telling you now is from Krishna Dharma Prabhu's Mahabharata. You can refer to that. So, and he requested Krishna to pacify his heart. So Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. The way Krishna spoke to Arjun, Krishna spoke to Yudhishthir Maharaj also. And also other sages, Dhaumya Muni, right? Vyasadeva was also there. So they also talked to Yudhishthir Maharaj. And after listening to Krishna, now Yudhishthir Maharaj, once again, he was doing his duty. And then Krishna requested Yudhishthir Maharaj that he desired to go to Indraprastha. Remember, after the battle, earlier the Pandavas were ruling Indraprastha. Their capital city was Indraprastha. And Duryodhan was in Hastinapur. Dhritarashtra Maharaj and Duryodhan. So when the battle was over and the Kauravas were defeated, now Yudhishthir Maharaj is ruling from Hastinapur. So Krishna requested that he wanted to spend some time with Arjun in Indraprastha, and he asked for Yudhishthir Maharaj's permission. Yudhishthir Maharaj said yes. So they went and they spent several weeks there. And there also Krishna tried to, he could see that they would talk as friends. They were intimate friends, Krishna and Arjun. They would spend time together going in the woods, right? Driving around, sitting and talking. So Krishna could sense that Arjun, and they would talk about the various battles. And Arjun expressed, or Krishna could sense from Arjun's talks that he was also feeling the separation from his friends after this battle. His sons were killed. So Krishna pacified Arjun also at that time. Then Krishna told Arjun that my family members in Dwaraka, they haven't seen me for so long. My father Vasudev, my mother Devaki, they are aged. They are feeling separation from me. I must go back to them. So Arjun, although his heart was breaking at the thought that Krishna is going to leave us now, but he also understood the situation of the Dwarkavasis, and he agreed. And he told Krishna, although it breaks my heart, but I understand. So now the big job was to go and convince Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Arjun said he would do that. So the two of them went to Hastinapur. And when they arrived, all the citizens they received them so cheerfully, and they were brought in front of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And they were made to sit down, and the way Krishna and Arjun were looking at Yudhishthir Maharaj could sense they wanted to say something. Something was on their minds. So Yudhishthir Maharaj asked them, he said, ask me, there's something that you want to say? Rest assured, whatever is your desire, I will fulfill it. And that was exactly what Arjun was expecting. And Arjun presented in the same way that Krishna has been here for so long, and his family members in Dwaraka are missing him, and he needs to go now. Please kindly give him permission. And when Yudhishthir Maharaj heard this, of course, he was also shocked. He was not expecting that Krishna would leave. But then he also thought, as soon as the Pandavas came out of exile, Krishna had come to Virata. He became their peace messenger. He was there with them throughout the time, and even he participated in the battle, became the chariot driver of Arjun. And he's been here, and after the whole battle also, he stayed back because Yudhishthir Maharaj he needed the support of Krishna so much. Considering all this and considering the situation of the Dwarkavasis, Yudhishthir Maharaj gave permission, and he sent many gifts. And Krishna, when he was leaving at that time, when he got on the chariot, Kunti Maharani came and she offered many prayers. And Krishna accepted those prayers and he continued on the journey. And all the ladies, right? So that day, after the prayers, he went to, after he got permission from Yudhishthir Maharaj, he went and spent time at Arjun's palace that night. He stayed with Arjun that night. And the next day morning, along with Satyaki and Arjun, Krishna left for Dwarka. And then all the ladies in Dwarka, we read, right? How they were looking at Krishna and how they were glorifying the queens of Dwarka, all the residents of Dwarka, how fortunate they were, like that. And slowly Krishna left Hastinapur and went to Dwarka. Of course, we also saw how the Dwarka Vasis received Krishna, his father, his mother. For them, it was like, it was like life coming back to them. They were without Krishna all this time. Arjun was there at that time with Krishna. And after spending some time with Krishna, Arjun came back to Hastinapur. And then now Yudhishthir Maharaj wanted to perform Ashwamedha Yagya. And when Krishna was leaving, Yudhishthir Maharaj requested Krishna to please come for the Ashwamedha Yagya when he would do that. So now he arranged for the wealth. Arjun went and he, conquered various kingdoms and he got the wealth that was required to perform Ashwamedha Yagya, and he followed the horse. The horse was caught by his son Babruvahana and there was a fight and all that. And he brought the horse and he came back. And meanwhile, Yudhishthir Maharaj also got news about Arjun's conquests, that he was successful. So he started preparations for Ashwamedha Yagya. And when Arjun, one day before Arjun arrived, he already sent invitations. So all the kings started coming. He set up the place for the Ashwamedha Yagya. Krishna and Balaram also came for the Ashwamedha Yagya. One day after they arrived, Arjun returned with the horse. So there was once again a nice reunion. Then after the Ashwamedha Yagya, once again Yudhishthir Maharaj gave gifts to Krishna, and then Krishna went back to Dwarka. So in this way, Krishna spent time in Dwarka and Yudhishthir Maharaj was living here in Hastinapur, the Pandavas. They were all conscious that Krishna was to leave 36 years after Yudhishthir, after the battle. And 35 years had passed like this. So in the 35th year, Vidura came. That's what we read also recently. He returned and then he instructed Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra left home, Gandhari followed. And now it was Krishna's disappearance is imminent now, 36th year. So Arjun thought, let me go and visit Krishna one last time before he disappears. And who knows, he can even change the curse. Maybe he will decide to stay back. So he went. So this is the last time when Arjun went. And he didn't come back. It's been 7 months. This is the time when Krishna was supposed to leave. Also, when Dhritarashtra left, Narad Muni arrived and once again told Yudhishthir Maharaj, you wait. The Lord is going to wind up the pastimes. You wait until that and then you can also leave. So the title of this chapter is The Pandavas Retire Timely. So now when they get the news that Krishna has retired or Krishna has wound up his pastimes, now it's time for them also to retire. So what is Yudhishthir Maharaj seeing when Arjun came back? First of all, he saw all these omens and then he saw Arjun come home and he looked so dejected. Yudhishthira Maharaj was worried. He asked so many questions. And actually, all these questions that he was asking in the last verse of the previous chapter, there Srila Prabhupada said that all the inquisitiveness of Maharaj Yudhishthir about the world situation, he was asking so many questions. Did this happen? Did that happen? All those questions were asked on the basis of Lord Krishna's disappearance from the world. Even though he was doubtful about it, he was obliged to inquire. So it's, sometimes like you expect the worst, but you also fear, and you don't want to say that, isn't it? So he's saying this, and then, it's obvious it cannot be any of this. And finally he said, did Krishna leave? Now you understand what is Arjun's condition. What is all that Arjun went through? What happened when Arjun went there? He didn't disclose it to Yudhishthir Maharaj yet. Yudhishthir Maharaj does not know the details. He didn't get any information. But he's seeing the dejected face of Arjun, and now Arjun is remembering everything. First of all, he came home. The Lord had disappeared. He came home. And what all did he have to go through there? And on top of that, now Yudhishthir Maharaj is asking all these questions. His heart was completely broken. What is his condition? We saw in this chapter. Due to grief, Arjun's mouth and lotus-like heart had dried up. In separation from Krishna, his body lost all luster. Tears were coming from his eyes with great, and like a small child, he's just smearing the tears from his eyes. And he was very distressed because Krishna was out of his sight. And remembering Lord Krishna, all the things that he spent the most time with Krishna. He was a Priya Sakha. He was like an equal to Krishna. They were buddies. He was there with him all the. Just imagine. So he was completely overwhelmed, breathing heavily when Yudhishthir Maharaj finally said, did Krishna leave? And that brings to today's verse. Arjun said, breathing heavily, with great difficulty, he's saying, what is he saying? O King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Yes, what you suspected is true. The Lord has left me. He has left us. Thus, my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. There are several verses in this chapter which will describe what were the dealings between Krishna and Arjun. What were the various occasions where Krishna was there for Arjun. But the main thing is his power, astounding power. Who is Arjun? That's actually the topic of today's verse. Arjun was the best warrior of his times. Sometimes you have someone who's an expert in using the bow. Someone like Bhimsen was expert in Gada. Yudhishthir Maharaj was expert in using his lance. But Arjun was an all-rounder. He could use any weapon with great ease, and he was Savyasachi. He could use either of his hands. With the same lightness, he could fight. He went to the heavenly planets. he satisfied Indra. He fought with the enemies of the demigods that the demigods were not able to conquer. Kalakanyas, Nivata Kavachas. Alone, not with an army. Arjun alone went and he destroyed them. And he astonished even the demigods by his power in battle. But now all that power is gone. What happened? When Arjun went to Dwaraka this time, when Arjun arrived in Dwaraka, all the Yadus were already in Prabhasa. So the Yadus were also under a curse. Once the sons of Krishna, they played like a joke, a practical joke with some sages. They dressed up Samba like a woman and showed, they stuffed something inside the clothing and showed like she was pregnant. He actually, they dressed like a woman and said, she's pregnant. Can you tell us if she's going to have a girl or a boy? And the sages cursed them that you're playing jokes with sages? Yes. There will be the result of this, or the baby that's going to be born, whatever you want to say, or she will give birth to an iron lump that will be the cause of the destruction of the entire Yadu dynasty. So since then, Krishna suggested that all the Yadus should now, perform, perform sacrifices, worship, pujas, give charity, right? Because this was a sin. They're getting a reaction here. So they went to Prabhasa. First of all, what they did was, when that iron lump came, they got it crushed and they had it thrown in the ocean. Ugrasen Maharaj had it thrown in the ocean. But it was iron. It got collected on the shore of the ocean. And those pieces of iron, they actually grew into weeds, iron weeds. So when they all went to Prabhasa, they got drunk. Drunk means they were taking some, beverages made with rice, and they became intoxicated. And in that intoxication, they had some argument and they started fighting, and they picked up these weeds, which were actually iron, and they started fighting with each other, and everyone was killed. Only Krishna and Balaram were there. And after that, Krishna and Balaram also leave. So at that time, Krishna sent a message through Daruka to Dwaraka. They were all in Prabhasa, right? This whole incident happened in Prabhasa Kshetra. So Krishna sent a message through Daruka, and that Arjun is going to come, and this is what Arjun should do. He should perform the last rites for all the family members, take the queens to Indraprastha, take care of his parents, so on and so forth. So when Daruka came and gave the news that Krishna, Balaram, and all the Yadu men, they were all killed, or Krishna, Balaram left, Devaki Vasudev couldn't take it. So they left their bodies then and there, out of separation from Krishna. This is the scene in which Arjun arrived in Dwarka. He didn't even see Krishna. He gets news from Daruka. So then he performed all the last rites. He went to Prabhasa as per Krishna's instruction, performed last rites for all these Yadavas. Then he was bringing the queens with him to Indraprastha, and he gets attacked by a bunch of cowherd men with some sticks in their hands. And they defeat Arjun, and they take the queens and they go away. So that's what here, when he said that my power is gone, The same Arjun who was able to fight with warriors, Kaurava warriors, who were like Timingala fish compared to Timingala fish. Timingala fish means they can actually swallow whales. So there were such powerful, if the army of the Kauravas can be compared to an ocean, these warriors were like Timingalas, and Arjun was single-handedly able to fight them and defeat them along with all their soldiers. But now he couldn't even fight a handful of cowherd men who didn't even have any, sophisticated weapons. They just had some sticks in their hand. Arjun still had his Gandiva bow, but he could not defeat them. How? How did this happen? He's saying, it's no longer with me. This power, the power, my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is not with me anymore. Why? Because now I'm bereft of the Supreme Lord. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that, quoting Bhagavad Gita 10:41, whatever wonderful, extraordinary power, beauty, talent, right, abilities that we see in this world, where are they coming from? Krishna himself is saying, they're all but a product of an insignificant portion of the complete whole of my energy. Just a spark of my splendor, right? An insignificant portion of Krishna's energy. From that, all the wonderful things of this world are coming, including Arjun's power. So, what is the source of all our energy? It's Krishna. So, nobody can claim anything as their own. Everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. That's one point. That means on any level, you may be an atheist, you may be a devotee, or whoever you may be. As Srila Prabhupada says, not a blade of grass can move without the will of Krishna. We cannot even bat our eyelids without the support of Krishna. Whatever physical ability we have, whatever intellectual power we have, we cannot even breathe without Krishna. We cannot live. Right? Krishna in the form of Paramatma, he is the one who is supplying both Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti are the potencies of Paramatma. How can anyone claim anything to be theirs? This is for everyone. What to speak of everyone, even such exalted personalities as the intimate associates of Krishna, like Arjun. So Krishna gives special power. So when he comes, he will manifest his extraordinary power, like he's 7 years old and he lift Govardhan hills. Where do you find such an example? Who can do that? On his little pinky, and he will hold it there for 7 days. So extraordinary power. He will display his power, and he will also give special empowerment to his devotees for specific mission. Whatever is required in that particular situation, he will give it. But when the task is complete, that's not needed anymore. It is not meant for my enjoyment. It is not meant for my aggrandizement. See, I have done so much. All of you recognize me. And then, I'll put big, things to show you what my achievements in life are. No. That's the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. A non-devotee wants to steal Krishna's property and claim it to be his own. Whereas a devotee, he understands the reality. He understands the fact, nothing is mine. Like Srila Prabhupada prayed, my Lord, make me dance, make me dance. I'm like a puppet in your hands. In whichever way you want to make me dance, you make me dance and I will dance. That's a devotee. The spiritual master. The spiritual master knows what is happening, the state, the condition of the disciple. How does the spiritual master know? Because Krishna empowers him. He gives that power. Whatever is needed in that situation, Krishna will give that power. And when that situation is over, he can withdraw it because it's not required. So what is the safest position for us? Srila Prabhupada is saying, the lesson to be learned from this is, no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. It is not mine. Nothing is mine. Anyone who's trying to enjoy that position, anyone who's trying to enjoy that wealth, or even that skill that one may have, is actually a fool. Or as long as he is trying to enjoy that, he is being very foolish. He's not being intelligent. Right? No one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. Then what should we do? We have all these powers. What is the purpose of all that we have? The sane man, first of all, he should feel obliged, right? Somehow Krishna has chosen me and he has given me this ability, or he has given me this special mercy. So should I just enjoy it? Thank you, Krishna, and let me enjoy it? No. You use it in Krishna's service. You feel obliged. Krishna has chosen me, you feel obliged. And then you should use such powers for the service of the Lord. That is the perfection. Dharmasya hyapa vargyasya narthorthayopa kalpate. Right? So you perform your dharma for what? There it is said for liberation. So liberation can mean for bhakti, for the satisfaction of Krishna also. So you perform dharma for liberation, it is said. Dharma should not be done for artha. But the fact is, when you do dharma, artha will come. So when artha comes, what do you do with it? Not for indriya tripti. It should not be used for sense gratification. Whatever you have, whether wealth, whether influence, whatever assets I may have, it is all the property of Krishna, and it should be used for progressing in Krishna consciousness, in Krishna's service, for my progress, for others' progress. That is Krishna's plan. That's the purpose for which we have been given all these assets. So, of course, there's devotees and there is demons. There is two types of people. So those who are devotees, they will acknowledge that this is Krishna's property and they will use it for Krishna's service. And those who are not devotees, they will try to enjoy it themselves. But what should be done? It should be used in Krishna's service. One must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. Such power can be withdrawn. And you also know it can be withdrawn at any moment. You will not have any, when you don't claim it as yours, when it is taken away, you don't suffer. You don't suffer. The problem comes, I become attached because I think it is mine. And then I feel someone else is trying to take it away. Then I become very insecure. I fight for it, or I become depressed, so on and so forth. Why? Because I'm thinking it is mine. Nothing is mine. He can give it and he can take it away because it is his. That's the lesson we learn from this. Arjun is saying that I was so powerful. My powers astounded everyone, the whole world, even the demigods. But now I don't have anything. The Lord gave them to me and now he took them back. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much. It touched the heart today. I cannot express anything. But the way you said all that, Arjuna's feelings and how all these things happened, it was really heart-touching. Thank you very much for giving all that.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
Thank you. I have the permission of the principal. So I can go ahead. Thank you, Mother Archana Bhakti, so much. Let me lower the hand first. Yeah, beautiful narration, bringing the scene and the situation, how Arjuna is feeling devastated in separation from Krishna. And you also connected all these external reasons, of curses and this, all that. You mentioned that everything comes from the Lord. And while speaking, you also said that the Jnana Sakti and the Kriya Sakti comes from the Lord. I think in the 15th chapter, Krishna says, Matasmati Jnanam Apanam cha, maybe that's but at the same time, the living entity is also Satchidananda. Satchit Ananda. So the chit potency is there in living entity is cognizant. Conscious and cognizant is also there. So how we understand the living entity is naturally made with knowledge. At the same time, Jnana Sakti comes from the Paramatma. So please summarize.
Sure, Guruji. So the living entity's constitutional position is, yes, his constitution is Satchid Ananda. That means he is eternal, he is conscious, and he is full of bliss. But the conditioned soul Jiva, what is his particular situation? He is now, because of abhava of paratattva jnanam. What is paratattvam? Paratattvam means the absolute truth. Because of lack of this knowledge of paratattvam, or because of turning his face away from the Supreme, he becomes covered by the illusory energy. He comes under the clutches of the illusory energy. What is the result? What is the effect of coming under the clutches of illusory energy? It is twofold. Prakshepatmika Shakti and Avaranatmika Shakti. Avaranatmika Shakti means it is covering the real knowledge of the living entity. What is the real knowledge of the living entity? I am a part and parcel of the Supreme. That knowledge is covered. And then, when that is covered, now he will start identifying himself with the material world. So what is he identifying himself with? I am this body. He will come under the grip of the dualities. Happiness, distress, friend and enemy, right? Mine and his. This duality, he will come under the grip of this duality. So that's why we are Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha Shakti means you can either come under the external energy or under the internal energy. You have that choice whether you want to be under internal or external energy. But once you come under the external energy, you choose to come under the external energy, or you're covered by the external energy, then, yeah, now your real knowledge is covered. Your spirit soul, you're conscious, but now that becomes perverted, right? Another example is like, you have a crystal gives white light. You cover the crystal with a red cloth, now it starts giving red light. The original nature of the crystal is not giving red light, but because there's a red cloth on it, now it's giving red light. Is it the inborn nature of the crystal? No, it is something which is imposed on it. So what is imposed on the spirit soul? These modes of material nature. Can he come out of that? Yes, there's only one way. Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante. Anyone who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord in devotional service, because this Maya Shakti is his servant, maid servant. When someone takes shelter of the Supreme Lord in devotional service, Maya will withdraw her powers. Once again, he will shine in his original brilliance. Now he can actually see himself properly, who he is. Was that okay, Prabhuji?
Yes, very nice. I'm glad you explained. So, on that statement, we can understand that even though Jiva is conscious, cognizant within its capacity, his original position, knowledge is there within the living, because constitutional position that I am servant, that knowledge is there in the Jiva. But because of Avaranatmaka Sakti, his Jiva's knowledge is covered.
Well, Avaranatmaka Shakti is also not the cause. The first cause is lack of Paratattva Jnanam. Because of turning away from the Supreme Lord, then he comes under the control of Avaranatmaka Shakti.
Right. My understanding is that when he wants to turn away, then Avaranatmaka Sakti covers like that. Because living entity is pure at the beginning, and they are conditioned when they enter into the spirit material world. Then Avaranatmaka Sakti, okay, now you want to put a mask on you, I'll help you cover a mask. That's anyway, you can correct me there. So my understanding that when living entity desires to enjoy separately, then Avaranatmaka Sakti comes and covers. Okay, now you cover your eyes and act. Then it's interesting how Krishna, one side he covers, the other side he gives knowledge.
The reason is, that's why I said since anadi means beginningless. That means you cannot tell what is beginning and when. That cannot be said. Since anadi, you cannot trace it. So the situation of the conditioned soul is, since anadi kala, this living entity is not having paratattva jnanam. He doesn't have knowledge of the Supreme Lord. As a result of that, he is under the influence of this external energy. This external energy is also the servant of Krishna. So you're saying, so Krishna is covering this living entity. But the reason for that covering, he is being covered because of turning away from the Supreme Lord. As soon as he turns to the Supreme Lord, that energy will not act. So really it is not that Krishna is acting, it's really where I'm choosing, right? If I want to turn, like you turn to the sun, then you're in the light. You turn away from the sun, you're in darkness. You cannot say the sun has created the darkness and making me go to, no, if I turn around, then I'm in light. So it's not really the sun who is doing it, it's me.
Well, the Sakti doesn't act by itself, right?
It's already there. It's
right,
how I position myself. If I position myself towards the sun, the darkness is behind me.
Right.
Shakti is there, but the Shakti has no power to act on me if I turn to the sun.
If I don't turn, but Shakti will cover us, or?
Shakti is already there. If I turn, same example, if I turn away from the sun, the darkness is already there in the back. So it's up to me where I'm turning. Am I turning away from the sun or towards the sun? Darkness is already, yes, you're right. Darkness is also formed because of the sun. Shadow is there because of the sun. But whether I'm facing shadow or sun, that is in my hands.
And the material energies works under my direction. Right. So in summary, we can see that you're saying that Lord gives us knowledge, Jnana Sakti, while we're in the material world condition. But that is not true when the Jiva enters into the spiritual world.
Well, the spiritual world is a whole different story. There, everything is Swarupa Shakti. Swarupa Shakti, it is internal to the Lord. This is external. This is external energy outside of the Lord. Whereas the spiritual world is internal energy. It is within his Swarupa Shakti. Everything there is from the Lord. Outside also, inside also. But that's all his Swarupa Shakti. You're also working directly under the Swarupa Shakti, his internal energy.
Thank you, Mataji. Just wanted to hear from Hare Krishna.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
If anybody else has any questions or realizations, please go ahead. I am just, yes, Mataji, Shyamagori, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for wonderful class. You just took us to Mahabharata world. It was nice. But not the question, it's like confusion for me from the conversation, like the question and answer between you and Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. So when you said like it's because of me, if I turn to sun, then there's no darkness. Like, and if that's me, and then when Krishna says like sarvasya hamriddhi sannivisto, so he gives the knowledge and he gives the remembrance and forgetfulness also. So does that mean that we are just puppet and he's from inside his I mean, where does I come then there?
Right. So, of course, Paramatma's role is really, Paramatma follows your karma actually. Because what is Paramatma's position? Upadrishta, Anumanta, he's just a witness. He's observing and he's sanctioning based on your karma. Really, that is the relation with the living entities, conditioned souls who are not devotees. Okay. So I have so many desires from my past life, and I have made so many decisions. So you must have studied in Nectar of Devotion, right? So there is aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, right? And then ultimately you get prarabdha karma. So aprarabdham is like you do some sinful activity and then there is some reaction to that, but it is not sufficient enough to give you a reaction. So you do once, you do twice, they start getting accumulated. When you get sufficient accumulation of those sinful reactions, it's called kutam. These are all impressions that you're carrying from your past lives. So there's kutam. And then this kutam will actually turn into bijam. Bijam means vasana. That means now you want to do the same thing again. So not only are you going to get a reaction for what you have done, but in addition to that, you'll get a strong desire to do that again. So that means now I'm in this life, but I'm already carrying some vasanas or desires based on what I did in the past life that is forcing me to do. Like Arjun asks Krishna, Krishna, what is it? It is as if somebody is forcing me to act. What is it that is impelling me to sinful action? As if by force. What does Krishna says? It is lust only, Arjuna. What is this lust? It's that vasana. Because of the actions that I did, the decisions that I made in the past life, now I have a strong desire. Paramatma is in the heart. He's sanctioning. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So if my desire is to forget Krishna because I want to, how will I enjoy? If I remember Krishna is the Supreme Lord, He is the controller, how will I be the master? I have a strong desire to be a Hitler or somebody. I want to be the ruler. Then because I have such vasana, such strong desires, and I have that type of karma, I have enough credit also to enjoy that type of reaction, then Krishna will sanction it as Paramatma. So we are not puppets. We have the desire. What we have within our capacity is the desire. And we act based on that desire. But this karma cycle is so vicious, so complicated, that because of repeatedly doing so many activities, now I have formed a particular nature, and I sometimes even I'm forced to act in a certain way, even against my own desire, because of the baggage that I'm carrying. How to come out of this? There's only one way. You have to surrender to Krishna. Then all these in one shot, right? Aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, prarabdha, everything can be removed by the power of devotional service. Did I address your question properly?
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Wonderfully. Thank you so much.
So it's 8:54. I know weekdays you're supposed to end at 8:30. I'm sorry. I'm kind of used to giving classes on Saturdays, so it goes on till 9 o'clock.
Actually, even on weekdays, it goes on almost till 9 o'clock.
I see. Okay.
And I tried 3 times to ask say my piece, but no. I just want to say thank you. This class, this past hour has been from technical to practical. You've covered every single base. Just to summarize what I'm taking away from the class is that, in the karmic world, the one thing that they keep telling us is to always have gratitude. If you have gratitude, then you are satisfied. If you're dissatisfied, that means you're not. And so, like Arjuna is saying, it is only because of Krishna we have what we have. So every day we should acknowledge that in some practical way, not just say thank you and not mean it. And the other point that I was kind of thinking about was how, when you were saying about Samba, how they ridiculed or made fun of the sages, how careful we have to be. So that happened, during Krishna's time, and he said a lump of iron will be born out of you. But, today, obviously, we will not, if somebody comes and says you will give birth to a lump of iron, I'm going to say, oh, no, not possible. But we have to be so careful. There are so many senior people around us, and we have to be careful. We really have to think about how we are dealing with them and what we are saying, and think about it. I'm not saying that I'm always insulting people, but to be conscious of it. So that is my practical application from your class today, is to be grateful, to be to show gratitude for what we have. Every morning we have this class, just for that we have to be very grateful. To be able to hear the explanations you gave today, we have to be grateful for that we have such association around us. We have to be grateful for that, and also be careful.
Yeah, the lesson from today's verse is that nothing is mine. Everything belongs to Krishna.
Yes.
And we shouldn't try to be the enjoyer. That is our biggest enemy.
Yes.
Instead of trying to be the enjoyer, let's try to be the servant of Krishna, understanding to whom everything belongs, and then everything, all the principles that you said, that will follow with this in place. Because senior devotees, if they're not there, then how did I come to Krishna consciousness?
Exactly.
So yes, everything will fall in place. So we should take ourselves out of the position of being the enjoyer and understand to whom everything belongs. Whatever we have is borrowed property. Yeah. That is the message from today's class.
So I've been hearing this, I'm not the enjoyer all this time. I've never, challenged that, but I'm really understanding what that means today, here and now for me with the circle that I have. It just, constant hearing, I think, that's why it is so important that we constantly hear, we internalize what we are hearing. I have been hearing it, obviously did not internalize it all this time, and slowly things are sinking in and understanding it the way I should understand and applying it the way I should apply. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Mataji. Suman Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Hare Krishna. I'm just thinking in my mind that if I had taken these classes before, I would not have been attached to so many things. I would not have gone to so many directions. And life would be simpler and more Krishna conscious. But I'm thinking now, okay, it's never too late. By Krishna's mercy, now I'm hearing these classes and I'm trying to not get attached to too many things, and whatever happened, so happened. Now I want to make my life simple, and very difficult now it is. But still, we have to clear our mind and clean up mind and get rid of material things which we are so much attached to these days. So whatever, not difficult, but I'm thinking that I think best thing to have these classes early in life.
Yeah, and share this wisdom with the younger generation, because they don't have to walk this, commit the same mistakes which you have committed. So you can share your wisdom so that they may be saved from taking that path. So that much we can do.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hare
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, 1 hour class went like 1 minute for me.
Because of all of your association.
Listening.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Mother Archana Bhakti. Thank you. A wonderful class and good to see you on a Friday. Just a couple announcements for this weekend. I wanted to mention we started a Mangalarti program on Saturday morning. So to invite all the devotees to come for a full morning program at the temple on Saturday mornings. Mangalarti starts at 5 a.m. And then tomorrow we're also going to be going out on book distribution in Rittenhouse Square at 1:30 p.m. We'll be leaving from the temple around 1 o'clock. So if you want to ride, you can join us at the temple at 1 o'clock to get a ride there. If not, you can join us 18th and Walnut Street at 1:30 p.m. as part of the Christmas marathon distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And then on Sunday, it is the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. There'll be kirtan in the temple starting at 10 a.m., going all the way up through the Sunday feast. There'll be an observance, Pushpanjali and Guru Puja at noon for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So lots going on this weekend. We hope you can join us for some, if not all of it. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyacha
Patithanam
patitanam
Pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo
Namo.
Namo.